In this video, we are examining the 2024 electoral map based on updated forecasts from Polymarket, with just 38 days remaining until the election, and we'll take a closer look at where both Kamala Harris and Trump stand on their paths to securing the 270 electoral votes needed for victory. According to Polymarket's latest forecast, the electoral map is shaping up in a way that reflects an intense battle, especially in swing states. Let's explore the projections starting on the West Coast, with states like Washington, Oregon, and California, which are considered solidly blue. A solid state is defined as one where a candidate, in this case Kamala Harris, has a 95% or greater chance of winning. For Washington and California, Harris's odds of victory stand at 98%, while in Oregon, she holds a 97% chance of success. However, Nevada presents a more competitive scenario. Harris appears to hold the lead in this battleground state. Nevada leaned toward Democratic candidates Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden by narrow margins of 2.4% in the 2016 and 2020 elections, respectively. Next, we examine Arizona, another pivotal swing state that has become increasingly conservative. Of the 7 swing states, Arizona now appears to be leaning most heavily toward Trump, even more so than North Carolina or Georgia. According to the latest polling, Trump boasts a 64% chance of winning Arizona, and he has led in all 8 of the most recent polls. This is a state that Joe Biden narrowly won in 2020, but the odds this time around suggest a much tougher climb for Democrats. In 2016, Trump won Arizona by a margin of 4 points, and current projections indicate a similar margin of victory for him in 2024 against Kamala Harris. As a result, Arizona is categorized as a lean red state. Moving on to Colorado and New Mexico, Kamala Harris is strongly favored to win, although her performance is expected to be less dominant than Joe Biden's in 2020. In the last election, Biden secured double-digit victories in both states, but the margins this year are anticipated to be smaller. Polymarket's forecast assigns Harris a 98% chance of victory in Colorado, making it a solid blue state, while in New Mexico, her odds of success are slightly lower at 92%. New Mexico, in particular, is expected to become more competitive in future elections due to shifting allegiances among Hispanic voters, a demographic that makes up the majority of the electorate in the state. Currently, New Mexico remains a likely blue state, though this could evolve over the coming years. Turning to Texas, we see a sharp contrast from the 2020 election, when polling suggested that Democrats had a realistic shot at flipping the Lone Star State. Back then, Joe Biden was thought to have as much as a 30 to 40% chance of victory in Texas, but that is no longer the case. Republicans now hold an 88% chance of winning the state, according to Polymarket, with Trump performing well in recent elections. He won Texas by 9 points in 2016 and by 6 points in 2020, far surpassing the close margins predicted by polls. Thus, Texas is currently forecasted to remain under Republican control, categorized as likely red, with Trump expected to maintain his dominance in the South. In the central part of the country, Trump is expected to sweep through a series of reliably red states, including Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, as well as all but the 2nd District of Nebraska, which is projected to lean blue with an 89% chance of victory for Harris. Trump is also favored to win Kansas, Oklahoma, and Alaska, which are rated as likely red states. On the other hand, Hawaii is firmly in the Democratic column, categorized as a solid blue state. As we move to the Midwest, this region will likely be the deciding factor in the 2024 election. For Kamala Harris to have a viable path to victory, she must win key states such as Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. A loss in any one of these, even a relatively small state like Wisconsin with only 10 electoral votes, could cost her the election. Minnesota, for instance, remains a crucial state for Harris, partly due to the fact that her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, hails from there. Without Walz on the ticket, the state might lean toward Trump. Historically, No Republican has won Minnesota since 1972, and at present, Harris's odds of victory stand at 93%, although the margin is expected to be close. Iowa, on the other hand, is no longer competitive. Trump has transformed the state into a Republican stronghold, winning it by wide margins in both 2016 and 2020. The state's Republican governor also secured re-election by 20 points in 2022, solidifying Iowa's red status. According to Polymarket, Trump has a 92% chance of winning Iowa in 2024, which is categorized as likely red. Meanwhile, Illinois is going to be safe blue, while Indiana is going to be safe red. In neighboring Wisconsin, the race is much closer. This key swing state narrowly went to Trump in 2016, before flipping to Biden in 2020 by an even slimmer margin. As of now, Harris holds a 56% chance of winning Wisconsin, but the race is essentially a toss-up. Polymarket's forecast suggests Wisconsin will be a tilt blue state, although the race could easily go either way. Trump's performance in Wisconsin has improved since 2020, when he defied polling expectations that had predicted an 8-point loss, but ultimately came within less than a percentage point of victory. In Michigan, another crucial battleground, Harris is also favored, though the margin is expected to be narrow. Trump, however, is heavily favored in Ohio, a state that has shifted decisively to the right in recent elections. Trump won Ohio by nearly 10 points in both 2016 and 2020, and he currently holds a 92% chance of winning again in 2024, making Ohio a likely red state. Pennsylvania may be the most important state in the 2024 election, with both candidates seeing it as critical to their path to victory. Harris has recently taken the lead in Pennsylvania, according to Polymarket's odds, and while the race is incredibly close, the state is currently forecasted as tilt blue. Pennsylvania's importance cannot be overstated, as it has played a decisive role in recent elections. Trump won the state in 2016, while Biden narrowly carried it in 2020. However, Harris is projected to reclaim Pennsylvania in 2024. In the Northeast, many states are solidly Democratic, and Harris is expected to win New York, New Jersey, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. by comfortable margins. These states have long histories of voting blue, and while some of them may be more competitive than in previous elections, they are unlikely to flip to Trump. New Hampshire and Maine present slightly more competitive races. In 2016, Trump narrowly lost New Hampshire by less than half a percentage point, and while Harris is favored to win, the race is expected to be closer than in 2020, when Biden won by nearly double digits. Harris holds an 89% chance of victory in New Hampshire, while in Maine, her odds stand at 90%. The 2nd District of Maine, however, is likely to go to Trump, as he has an 83% chance of winning that district for the 3rd consecutive election. The southeastern part of the country remains solidly in Trump's column. He is expected to win states like Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and South Carolina by large margins, all categorized as safe red. However, Virginia is more competitive. Harris is still favored in Virginia, but the state has shifted to the right in recent years, evidenced by the election of a Republican governor and attorney general in 2021. Harris has an 87% chance of winning Virginia, but the margin is expected to be narrow, with the state likely going lean blue. North Carolina is another swing state where Trump is favored, although the race has become slightly more competitive due to controversies surrounding the Republican gubernatorial candidate. Trump is still projected to win North Carolina with a 56% chance of victory. The state is rated as tilt red, and Trump is expected to carry it for the 3rd consecutive election. Similarly, in Georgia, which Biden flipped in 2020, Trump is favored to win it back in 2024. Harris holds only a 40% chance of winning Georgia, while Trump's odds sit at 60%. Georgia is forecasted as lean red in this election cycle. Finally, in Florida, Trump is expected to win decisively. Although Florida was once considered a major battleground, recent elections have shown a clear Republican advantage. Trump won Florida by 3 points in 2020, and his odds of victory in 2024 stand at 83%, categorizing it as likely red. As we conclude our analysis, the path to 270 electoral votes remains extremely narrow for both candidates, but Kamala Harris appears to hold the advantage in several key swing states, giving her a slight lead over Trump as Election Day approaches. The outcome will ultimately hinge on a few critical states in the Midwest and Southeast, where the margins are razor thin. You can check out the forecast yourself at polymarket.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe right now for more content like this.